Hi everybody, and welcome to my new series. I'm calling it the Laymen, Linguist, and Conlanger series. It's really inspired by everybody who has stared at me with a dead look in their eyes when I bring up grammar in conversation, and that's my bad. If you're one of my ESL students, your favorite question is usually, why? Teacher, why does it do this and not that? And my answer is because English. Why does your language do it that way and not this? Same answer. It just is, and that's usually enough for those wanting to just get by. But this is my attempt to actually explain why English does what it does. The first part of this video will be for native speakers who just have general questions. The second part will take a look at the same concept but on a deeper level, and we'll also take a look at some of the same structure in other languages. And I'll end with what should be considered when constructing your own languages. If you enjoy this video, please let me know in the comments of any future topics you'd like to see. So for the layman, the verb be is the first topic adult learners face in English class, and without a doubt it causes a lot of the most confusion at the very beginning of learning the language. Be, and all of its forms, is a copula, or in the words of our 5th grade grammar teachers, a linking verb. It connects the subject to a noun or an adjective, like in "You are so beautiful," or in the first, the copula connects the adjective to what it's describing. Here, beautiful to you. And in the second, it equates the subject with the object. Here, I and walrus are the same thing. But from the outside, for non-English speakers, there's a big problem here. Where is be? These sentences don't have the word be. It usually goes like this. Hello class, let's study the verb to be. I am happy. You are happy. He is happy. And all of these funny looks that I'm getting, I just have to ignore. Sometimes I can translate it, but it's usually easier to just explain am, is, and are, and then come back later to reveal be as the mother of the words. This happens when learning commands, like in or when we need to use 2 verbs in one sentence, like
oh, I just can't wait to be king.
Now it's important to mention I'm only talking about be as a copula, as a linking verb. I'm not talking about other uses of be. I'm not talking about the progressive tenses in I'm singing in the rain. I'm not talking about the passive form in and I'm not talking about what we call the existential usage, when we have a dummy subject like there in For linguists, let's start with the main question. Why isn't be just be? Why does it have so many forms? The simplest reason here is that time merged different verbs whose meanings became redundant. First, there were 3 verbs. An ES base that meant to exist, a W base that meant to remain, and a B base that meant to become. If you can sense the past, present, future situation happening here, that's what caused the shift. The first 2 merged into the forms used in Old English, and then the B base, not having a past form itself, started to borrow pieces of the W base until the various forms settled into what they are today. Also, I have to point out that be isn't the only English copula. There are other verbs that connect the subject to the descriptor or complement, like or and because a lot of these copula phrases are idiomatic, there's almost no way to say exactly how many copula there actually are. But what about other languages? How do they express be? One way is the 0 copula. In many languages, in contexts where English speakers would instinctively want a form of be, there just isn't one. In English,
yeah, me Tarzan, you Jane,
is grammatically incorrect, but it's perfectly fine in many Slavic, Semitic, and Polynesian languages. But there are differences in the context where be is optional or just not allowed. For some, it's just present tense. For others, it's just when connecting the subject to an adjective, and so on. A dropped copula is occasionally featured in casual English conversation too, like,
hey, how you doing?
And it's also a feature of African American vernacular English in phrases like,
Where you at? Where you at? Where you at?
so the question to be or not to be is more complicated than we think. Badumch. In some of the Romance languages like Spanish and Italian, there are two distinctive forms of be, which boil down to relative permanence. One paradigm, stare, estar, emphasizes temporary states. The other, esse, essere, ser, is for more permanent essences. State and essence being the English cognates. For English minds, think about the difference between you're crazy and you're acting crazy. To speed things along, here's a very simplified and non-exhaustive explanation of some other systems. There is an Arabic dialect with a negative copula that conjugates to agree with its subject. Haitian Creole has different forms of be depending on what is being connected to the subject and where it lands in the sentence. Japanese has two different classes of adjectives, and only one requires a copula. And Mandarin has different linking verbs depending if it's connecting the subject to a descriptor or a noun complement. So what does this mean for conlangers? Consider these questions. Does your language drop the copula in some contexts? Only with adjectives? Only with nouns? Only in certain tenses? Only on rainy days? I don't know. Are the forms irregular? And do they break word order rules? Maybe the copula always ends a sentence when the regular word order is subject, verb, object. Is the copula a prefix, a suffix, an infix? Are there different forms for different registers of formality? My very first conlang simply copied the patterns of Spanish because that's the only foreign example I had. If you only construct grammars that are similar to the ones you're familiar with, not only are you not challenging yourself, but you're limiting the creative possibilities. Thanks for watching, and please like, subscribe, and comment below if you have any further insight on this topic. Also, I'd love to get suggestions for other topics I can break down just like this. If you're interested in my videos, I've posted a link below to one of my favorites. It's about the origins of color words in languages. Thanks so much. Bye.